Watch it. There's a spaceship. That was really good. There was a spaceship crew, which was also fairly... No, it was really good. It was all right, though, wasn't it? And then this one is about the captain, which I'll tell you now is going to be a spaceman. And now you've seen it, you don't have to wait to the end. So you could go if you wanted to. But I will also explain how I made it, not why. I did a spaceman because spacemen are cool, and I thought I could be the captain and I could put my head on the spacemen. And I did have a big plan to photo scan my head, where you take loads and loads of pictures and then make a mesh of it. But A, I ran out of time, and B, I did one before and it came out a bit like this, which is me with a hat on, a mask on. I wasn't going to be good enough, and I ran out of time. So I did a spaceman like this. Decided to go with the OG original Apollo era spaceman because that's the best. But have you wondered how you go from a concept in your brain to a real thing? Well, I've given you some sort of garbled tutorials in the past, so here is maybe one with a little bit more content and understanding of how you go from just nothing to thing. So what you do is you start off with a cube and you make it taller, but it needs more sides because cubes don't have enough sides, so you make some more sides. You get rid of half of it because it's going to be symmetrical, so just let the computer do the work. Pull out a little bit, pull it out again, that's an arm. Do the same thing for a leg, but it's looking a bit like a blocky stick man, so you just add some more sides, spend a bit of time making them a bit smoothed out. Then get a picture of a spaceman from the internet and then spend ages just moving the corners and making stuff circular and smoothing it out, which takes a bit of time. Adjust the proportions correctly until it looks like a true Astro Man, okay? Then we need a bit of time for the computer to do some magic. So you add what is called a modifier, which basically smooths it out and gives you even more vertices and details to play with, which then you can turn over into a whole sculpt mode thing where you can just draw on it with a pen to make the folds look like folds or whatever it is you particularly want it to do. Then you go on the internet and you download these things called alpha brushes, which are just black and white pictures that give you detail, and you use that over the top. And what that basically does is gives you skin or folds or brains or whatever it is that your model needs, and you just stencil it over the top, line it up, spend a bit of time, and then brush it over. You might need like a fancy pad thing for this, but it's all right. You can do it however you want, and do that a whole bunch of times all over your model, and it's done. Then you've got a fairly completed model. You add a load of extra details like pipes and vents and gloves, but it's all basically the same technique. But what you now need to do is, because what it's called is in a T pose, so you need to give it a skeleton, which people call an armature or its rigging. This is your armature, and you can basically use that and start posing. I've not attached his glove. Let's see if I attach the glove on that side. Yeah, there we go. And that's it. You do the pose. There might be a little bit of re-sculpting at the end just to get the sort of, because you can sort of get arms that will fold right through themselves and it gets a bit weird. But essentially, you can do that. What you could also do when you've rigged your character is you can upload it to a website called Mixamo, and they will do stuff to it and it will make your character dance like that. That's all right, isn't it? You know, that's what you get. It's fine. I mean, this is what they come out of the printer like. You'll see, I've printed them out in two sizes. This is the real size. That's your 28mm size. It's actually 28mm. It's actually 28mm to the eye level, which makes them really, really flipping tiny. So I've actually done a bigger one because taking photographs of really tiny things is hard, it turns out. So I've done that. So they've come out quite good. We've got one with the little computery thing, what's it called, the deck. One with the deck and a little shotgun thing. Twin little pistols and a big old gun. That's going to be me. That's me, that one. I've also done some bigger versions of the robots as well, because I don't think they showed enough detail last time because it was too small. Obviously now they won't fit in the spaceship, but that's life, isn't it? So that is my crew. That's it made now. What should I do next? I mean, there's drones and loot tokens, a robot, another robot.
Yep. Hello there, taxidermists and gentle peeps. Welcome to Digital Taxidermy Gets Under the Hot End again. Tonight we are here with Martin from Under the Hot End. It's It's been a couple of weeks. I've been on holiday. Martin has been busy like a bee because that guy never sleeps. I
I might
visited
have to start.
Portsmouth Historic Dockyards. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
you've been proper venturing.
Yeah,
You,
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you,
It's amazing. 2 years of doing nothing, and all of a sudden I've been out loads.
yeah. It's a whole
What a
new
good
world.
time.
Whole
What
new
a good
world.
time. So, how are you, Martin?
Yeah, I'm here. My week's been chaotic, from a personal side and from a printing side. To be honest, it's been
Yeah, yeah.
loopy. Yeah,
You've had
it's
a
been
lot
good.
going on.
I have. It's been very good, but it's been exhausting. If I'm honest, I'm now quite tired and ready to hibernate for a couple of hours. But you know,
Hibernation doesn't come until the winter. It's still
yeah,
two
I know.
months.
But it's winter somewhere in the world.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is true. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Somewhere it is 5. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's been good, mate. I've been, yeah, pretty much going for it. Yeah, where to
Yeah.
even start? Yeah, it's been good. I've been playing with a few different settings, and uh, different bits of software this week have been a bit challenging but fun. I've
Yeah.
had some fun, learning different things slowly but surely.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
I've
New skills,
been
new
talking,
paths.
yeah, been talking with a lot of producers, a lot of producers,
Yeah.
um, listing on faults and other things.
Yeah. You were saying that there's a lot of new products on the horizon.
Yeah, we
Direct
definitely
drive,
have
hot
got,
end systems, new
yeah,
printers, new stuff, everything.
and yeah, lots of new filaments. Hope, well, if all goes well, we should have lots of new filaments coming up, hardware coming up. We should have printers coming up. And we should be doing some lives on some different things, like
Hmm.
different software.
Yes, you were telling me that you did a stream with Carl Fenton about the Ender 7.
We did. I joined Mr. Fenton, my friend Mr. Fenton. He done a great job. Great job. It was his first ever live unboxing,
Nice,
bless him. Um,
nice.
and what a job he did. He did do really well, to be honest. I was there as his um chat coordinator, basically,
Nice.
mainly, and I was inquisiting on different parts of the printer, which was fun. I got my
Nice.
side to sort of ask somebody else questions.
Awesome.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
how was the Ender 7? What was the general verdict? What was it like?
On his build, it was all very, 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 very nice. It looked very, very good quality, actually, until Carl went to put the SD card in.
Ooh.
And he put it in at an angle and wedged the SD card up.
Ooh,
Bless him.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, the slots in the Ender series printers are a bit wider than the slots on the boards. That
Yeah,
is a
but
thing.
basically the hole on the Ender 7, when you first get an Ender 7, by the looks of it, the SD slots here and the actual front of the printers like here,
Oh,
but the SD slot is like this big and the hole's this big.
oh,
So what happened? He put it at a slight angle and, of course, overshot the main board. We have rectified that, and it is doable quite easily. In
yeah.
fact, basically, I told Carl to remove the base of the printer. This was off of the live. This was after the live. He removed the base, undone the main board screws, and there's just enough room to shunt it up enough that you can't slide a card either way.
Oh, nice. Oh,
So
that's all right then. So that
within
was all salvageable, and
Yeah, within 10 minutes of the live finishing, actually, Carl put up a live of it printing, which was good. It was nice to see. Um,
that's nice because it's a Core XY, isn't it?
It is, and it's got really high speeds at really
Nice.
good quality. I mean, this thing was rattling away at 250 mil a second, and the quality's good. It's good. I was
Nice.
surprised how good it was for that speed on relatively new tech for Creality. It's not something they've done a lot of, is Core X.
No, they've not.
No, they haven't done huge amounts of Core X, have they?
Not at home user levels.
No, no. And it produces well, very well. And it comes with some nice little, basically what you would class as mods. So it's got a metal dual geared extruder on there. It's got, it's got all the bells and whistles. So yeah, it's quite nice.
What
Quite
was
nice.
the thought on the cantilever bed?
Yeah, that was my only concern, to be honest. The cantilever bed has got a hell of a long reach on the counter.
It has, and I know
Yeah.
that was an issue on the original End of 5, and there was
Mm,
word that they've changed the arrangement a little bit.
they
But
have.
I would
Um,
be interested in seeing what happens if you print a kilogram print that is mostly along that far edge.
well, funnily enough, this was my main concern with that cantilever because it did look very peculiar when he started building it, and I thought this isn't going to go too well. The way they've done it, it's got like almost two stabilizers that run up a rod,
Yep,
and that secures it. And funnily enough, it stiffened it right up. It
yep.
was, yeah, very impressed with how they've got that overhang, and it is as tight as it is.
Nice.
It hasn't got, from what I can see so far, any flex whatsoever. Cole's been a champ this week. Actually, he's been printing all sorts. He's been doing busts and vases. He's done a cracking vase, big vase on it, and the quality's there. It ran at 250, and it's good. It's impressive.
Nice.
Hmm.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's definitely one I'd like to see a bit more on, or even get to play with. I'd be happy. It looks like a really nice machine.
Well,
Really
we'll
nice.
see. We'll see how that one pans out, I suppose. But
Yeah, you never know. You never
you
know.
do never know. But yeah, I mean, it's another one in the line. Like I
Yeah.
say, it's we'll see how it goes.
I mean,
But well, actually, you say about the Core XY, the CR30 was Core XY.
the CR30 was with the belt, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That was Core XY as
yeah,
well.
it was. For me, there's not been many with the actual solid bed, I
No.
suppose, is what I was getting at from
Mm.
Creality. The Core XY CR30, yeah, it's got its market, as you found out.
Yes, yes,
It
yes,
has got
yes.
its market, and it
It
is a
ha-
good
it
print.
has it has a reasons. It has an area. Um,
Mm,
I mean, this is just part of the issue at the moment. Is like Reality keep smashing out the new machines. The question is really how many of those new machines have new innovations?
yeah, yeah, and it's
Um,
it's coming up with something that is totally new, but it actually enhances the product rather than is just a new gimmick.
yeah, I mean it's an end of 5 with Core XY basically.
Yeah,
Is what it is. So that is because there are people that are making a Core XY mod for the 5 Plus,
yeah, that's
and
right. Yeah.
probably people have done a Core XY mod with the 5 already, but of
Oh,
course this has it all built in as
yeah. This
standard.
is
So
this is basically everything in the box.
yeah,
I mean, build time itself pretty quick. It
yeah.
wasn't an overly hard build.
Has it still got the same hot end setup as all the others?
I believe it's a higher temp hot end. all metal, I believe.
Right. Okay.
I believe. I could be wrong. If I'm honest, I have got the list, and at some point we will get that up. We'll get it up either on our next live, or we'll get it on under the Hot End Facebook group.
Yeah. Well,
We'll get it.
Carl was saying that he'd be up for coming, and on our last live, we were chatting to him. He was in the chat, wasn't he? And he said that he'd be up for coming and having a chat about how he's finding the Ender 7 once he's had a proper play with it. So
Yeah, he's starting to find. He's finding his feet with it now. He did have a bit of a concern earlier today, which we sorted out on doing a smaller print, and I think it's a case of you need to tweak the slicer a little bit and slow it down a little bit.
yeah. Reduce your speed.
250 mils, just mental.
Yeah.
But within reducing the speed, I believe you're probably going to have to reduce the flow a little bit and things like that.
Yeah. You'll change the F of R instead of the speed, because when you change the F of R, it changes all the things relative to it as well.
All in place, doesn't it? So, I think he's finding his feet with it. Other than working through the slicer at the minute, he's doing really well on standard prints out the box. Really well. So yeah.
Nice. Well, that's good. Nice.
Someone to keep an eye on.
Yes, no, definitely. And for everybody out there, we will add a link to Carl's Ender 7 video in the description, so you can go along to check it out, and catch up on that. I assume that's on YouTube. I haven't actually seen it yet, so
it's on YouTube. It is on YouTube. Carl's set up his own Carl Fenton YouTube channel. If you're
I'm subbed. I'm subbed. I just haven't been paying a lot of attention in the last week. We'll add a link in the description. You'll be able to find that. Go check him out. He's doing good stuff.
You'll see me.
Yeah, and you'll get to see Martin again, as if you hadn't had enough of him.
Yeah, because
Exactly. He gets everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. He's here. He's there. He's everywhere. He's everywhere else.
It's gonna be scary. You're going to be going to sleep, and you'll still be seeing my face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought right there.
Bad thought.
Nice. So I suppose we have this week's main attraction, though, which is the pyramid.
The A1. The Pyramid A1. Yeah.
The Pyramid A1 V1.1.
The A1V 1.1. Yeah.
The A1V 1.1 series of numbers XL plus 5,000.
Yeah. Well, this one was from TOAUTO. You can find them on Facebook. They do a whole host of things, mainly from blacksmithing and now 3D printing.
Yes. Yeah, we spoke about it on the last live, where we had a little look at the we had a little look at what was there. And we've just got playing on the side here your build video, which people can see while we chat over.
Sorry. So basically he won this pyramid, and I thought it might be worth doing a quick vid because there's not many out there in the UK.
Now, for people that don't know, this has a build volume which is slightly smaller than the CR10.
Yeah, it's very slightly smaller. I know it comes in at 400i, but I think it's about 310.
Yep.
Somewhere around 310 rings a bell. I've had an original CR10 in the past that I cannibalized. And there's not a lot of difference build size. build size. So yeah, it's a nice build volume, to be honest. It gives you a lot of scope because you've got that 400 height. Now, I won the basic version. There is actually 2 versions of this machine now, and they are going more towards version 2, which is the all singing, all dancing. It comes with the BL Touch, all metal hot end, uprated extruder, I believe, and a few other fancy little bits.
Yeah.
If the upgraded version is better than this, oh my god. It's
so this is the uprated version is going to be almost like a pro version, is it?
Yeah, a bit like the Pro, basically. Basically, what they have done, from what I can work out, is they've put on the mods the majority of people would generally put on, the likes of a CR10 or on the Pyramid A1. So, to save you having to put on your own BL Touch, your own all metal hot end, and all the rest of the things, they've already done it, and they've pre-installed, so all the firmware's already done for you.
Yeah, and this is something that a lot of people are doing at the moment, is like versions of the same printer, but with the add-ons already.
Yeah. So basically, most companies now are looking at their community or their groups, seeing what they're doing, and generally doing it so others can have that without the hassle of doing it.
Yeah. Which is great, because it then means that you don't have to tweak the things at home.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 major groups in 3D printing. There's the tinkerers and the non-tinkerers, simple as.
There's people's whose hobby is 3D printing, and there's people's whose hobby is the product of 3D printing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit of everything. For me, it's an absolute joy to have a printer straight out the box that prints and does what it's meant to do. What a bonus, because I can set it straight to work. On the flip of that, I quite enjoy getting stuck in and making a printer into a monster. So for me, I'm a bit of a ambidextrous weird person.
For me, I enjoyed the tinkering during the honeymoon phase when I was learning a lot about it all. But also at that period, there wasn't a lot of option but be a tinkerer.
And
now I just want something that will print out of the box.
Yeah. To a degree, I'm with you. Like the Hornet, I literally have done nothing. I have been so idle with the Hornet, it's unreal, because
it's
works.
Still going.
It's actually now buzzing like a Hornet, which is even more amusing. When it goes and you get it up to full speed, it's like, that's why you're a Hornet. Brilliant. The Fukus. I've done nothing to the Fukus, and I love it. It's awesome. It's a brilliant printer. There is one thing I am going to do to it, just because. I done this mod a long time ago when I built my Frankenstein printer, and I loved it. Basically, I made a hot end LED light unit and a gantry light unit.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Runs through a power switch that goes into the onto the main board, but because it's on a switch, you can have them independent. They don't have to be on; they can be on.
Yep.
That's the only thing I'm going to do to the Odin. The Odin is that good. I'm not even entertaining playing with it. There's just no point. It is awesome. I love it.
I mean, it's got the full package: direct drive, dual Z, wide
all
bed.
You can want. And that awesome image TFT screen. That is great. That is brilliant.
Yeah, that is the nice touch. That is the nice touch. That is basically the fully loaded premium ender.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
effectively.
That is the ender that is
And
of all.
you're only spending 100 quid more as well,
I know,
which
and
is
it's
way less than all those parts would cost if you bought them
definitely. I mean,
from a third party sources.
when I done my pro, I had a very big goal on my pro. I wanted to get my pro to a very high end, domestic level stroke, moving away from hobbyist almost.
Yeah, equivalent to a commercial printer.
Yeah. So I had a full dies kit on there at one point, which was stupidly expensive. It was actually more than 2 ender printers, which is scary. I went full BTT board, screen. I had smart filament sensor on there. I had the works on there.
And you had the headache of the firmware.
I had a lot of firmware, and oh my god, it was painful. I actually made Simon scratch his head over that one. Simon did actually get a headache for a couple of days, which, if you know Simon or anything about Simon, that doesn't happen. He did scratch his head.
Well, there you go. You know,
Well, I would
have
say,
yourself a By George medal.
yeah. Well, I actually ended up reducing the hot end. I went away from the dies in the end because it was like wasted. I just wasn't doing enough with the dies. You know, it was capable of 500 Celsius, and I was printing PLA.
Right.
Just no point.
So
I went back to I actually went back in the end. I went to a E3D for a while, which was awesome. I love E3D hot ends. They are brilliant in my mind. They just work. But I actually went back to a Creality direct drive kit. £30 from Creality. Nothing major. 30 quid. And I had obviously the upgraded board still, the filament sensor, and the upgraded screen, and it printed awesome, absolutely awesome. Right, it was brilliant. 30 quid mod, awesome,
fantastic.
But I would say the Fuku's tops it. It does top it. Yeah,
it does seem like a great package. Does seem like a great package.
I can't actually praise it enough. I'm underselling it, to be honest, because I haven't got enough to show people with. They just keep hearing me going, it's awesome, and they're like, all right, so off you're done. Well, not a lot, but I've actually printed quite a bit. It's just everything I've done so far, I've actually painted so people can't tell whether it's good or not.
Well, that's good. It's as long as it's printing good, that's fine.
It's pretty good.
On the build video so far, we've got TOAUTO is clearly emblazoned on the pyramid there, and you've set up the vertical bars for the Z rod. So unlike several of the printers that we've looked at lately, this is a kind of build from the base up, a lot like the Ender 3.
Now, I would go, it's not... Or personally, I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who's never owned a printer.
Okay.
Unless they're quite screw technically minded. It's
unless they're willing to put in the research.
Yeah, there's quite a lot there. There is. It does come with a very good coloured manual, but it also comes with, on the USB stick, there is a video of how to build it.
Oh, really? Now, so you don't have to go scrolling through YouTube and forums to find it. It's already on.
And this guy's actually really good. He's very, very clear. I've never seen him on another video before, which is weird because I've seen...
that's a nice touch, because that's not something that is usually... Like I say, I remember when I got my first printer, of course, it was only forums and YouTube. You did your research, and you'd find lots of differing opinions and alternate instructions and everything.
My first one come with instructions in Chinese.
Yep.
So I had some nice pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave you a link to a YouTube video that again wasn't in English.
Yep.
And the view on it was so poor that it looked like, well, I think you could have ended up building a step ladder rather than a printer.
Well, by the time I was getting printers, we had the St. Luke Hatfield's alternate setup guide, which was very helpful.
Yeah, I must admit, I mean,
And it
Luke,
changes the directions from the stated, factory instructions, but gave you some very important steps to do in between.
actually, yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean,
again, it's one of those things, unless you actually did the research, you would totally miss that,
Yeah.
and it would affect your print experience.
I mean, yeah. I'm Luke Hatfield, as you know, I talk with Luke quite often.
Mhm.
Absolute legend. If any of you guys haven't or don't know of Luke Hatfield, basically type in Ender Free Hot End Fix. It's there. It's all Luke. He's literally dedicated so much time of his life to make an encyclopedia of how to fix, repair, and solve, splice everything. So well worth looking up.
He's been leading the Creality community for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I've been, corresponding with Luke with Creality's team for a couple of years now, and he's been there a lot longer than I have. He literally is at the forefront with Creality. But he does actually do problem solving that works on Creality, but will also work on most other printers as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure a lot of the things that are in that would be applicable to the TOAUTO as well.
Yeah. I mean,
So
yeah.
we've got we got to the instruction book, and you can sort of see it there in the video on the bed of the printer.
It's
So
actually
you've got like, is there anything that the instruction book kind of misses?
To be honest, it's actually pretty good. It shows you in color each part, each component.
Yep.
And basically even what screw size, even what I did like in the pack with the screws, they were all in individual sections. So they were
Yep.
all sealed to the
Yep.
same right sizes.
Yeah, but we know what you do when that happens is you zip them all and pour them into a pile. That's fine.
No, I was actually quite good because each piece told you what size, and on it was printed what size. So
Nice.
literally, you open it, and once you've used that size, you're on to the next part. So each size is to each section. It was really
Right.
quite good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, it was quite time saving actually, because I thought, here we go, I'm going to have to rip a load of screws out, dig around for half an hour to put things together. No, you don't. It's actually all laid out for you,
Right, okay.
which is quite good. There's a couple of little bits on. What was it on? Didn't tell you anything about the filament sensor, if I remember right. So
Okay.
I put the thing together, and all of a sudden I'm like, I've got another bag here. What the hell is this red bit for? Oh, it's a filament sensor. Well, it's quite easy to suss out. There's two screws, and on the wire it says filament sensor. You can't really go wrong.
Yeah, you can't go too far wrong.
But I don't think there was a lot on that. The only downside I found in that whole build process, there was nothing on cable management.
Right.
So, because you're a direct drive, it hasn't got the standard extruder on the upright carriage.
Yep.
So you've got all this wire that comes around.
So is this a direct drive, is it?
This is a direct drive. It's a BMG.
Oh, yeah, you can see it now. You've just put the gantry down. You've got
there it is.
the
Yeah. Yeah,
You've got
it's got the hot end
the
in it.
stepper on there.
Yeah.
Okay, here's an interesting question, actually. And just looking at that arrangement,
Yeah.
does the gantry does the top bar interfere with it at
No.
the top of its? No, it doesn't.
No, because basically what happens where on the ends you've got like a Y for your carriage.
Yep.
As that comes up, you've got the supports, the diagonal support.
Yep.
That just misses. It just gets to the very top and just misses the diagonal.
Oh, perfect.
So the diagonal's here, and your carriage stops about here.
Oh, perfect.
And your hot end raises above the gantry by about, I don't know, 4 inches maybe.
Oh, good.
Because it's in
Yeah,
front
no,
of
fine. So there's no collision there at all. Yeah.
No.
So you
No,
haven't got a taller printer that's limited by height because it would collide with the thing, right?
I did actually think this to start with, and I was thinking, is this going to be a bit? Because it's got the Z rail on the back's actually got a guide on the top, so they don't rattle around like mad. I was thinking that might even catch that, and no, it doesn't. They've designed it in such a way that it gets to the top.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
quite impressive.
good to know.
Quite impressive. Now, basically, going through it, it is a rep hot end. No other way of putting it. I can't be polite. The V1 is a Ender 3 rep hot end.
Yeah, it's an MK8, right?
An MK8 rep. It's you know.
Well, I mean, they're generic and off the shelf, aren't they?
Yeah, and for me, I know I play with lots of other hot ends and I rant about other hot ends. The MK8 just works.
I mean, it works for PLA. It works. I mean, you know, if you're going for exotics, you is when you need to start upgrading. But anything that's below 220 degrees, the MK8 is fine.
MK8 works.
I mean, there's millions. There's literally millions of them in existence.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they are one of the most staple hot ends out there. There's not much else that can match it, and there's reasons.
If they were total trash, then they wouldn't be so prevalent.
Oh, they would have been binned off and moved on to something else a long time ago. Basically, it's the orange anodized heat block with it that you get from general places. It's basically a standard MK8.
But that's fine. I mean, you know, again, like the Ender 3, it looks like it uses very much off-the-shelf parts.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't look like there's a lot of real custom bits in there.
I'd say the only custom thing might be the diagonal rods, because they got a unique, like, active bolt in there.
Well, aren't they the same as the ones that go on the CR30?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think they'll be pretty much off the shelf.
Similar,
I think you'll probably find the only things that have been made to any sort of thing are like those red steel pressed plates.
Yeah. I mean, there's a cover on the belt drive in the red. There's the belt tensioners or the belt pulleys in red, and the feet. The feet, I would say, are custom to it. They're like a steel L with a rubber foot, which is quite nice.
Your main frame is just aluminium forms.
It's 2040 and 4040.
Yeah, your bed's a plate of aluminium. You'll use an off-the-shelf heater. They've probably got an off-the-shelf main board power supply. You've got an off-the-shelf hot end. Fans are just the standard generic fare.
Well, it's the 50, not the 40 on the side. The cooling, part cooling's the actual 50 rather than the Ender's little 40 thing. Right. The hot end, I think, is pretty much a generic standard. The power supply is a named power supply, but I'm not sure what the name is. I can't actually. Where the naming is slightly off, and I haven't looked it up. If I'm honest.
But that'll be again another off-the-shelf product. I mean,
Nothing that's
meanwhile,
going to
Power
be
Supply is still an off-the-shelf product.
exactly
It's not
that.
made in-house or specifically. So
No, the board is a Reuben board, I believe, 32-bit Reuben, which is off the shelf. It's not a specific hard to find.
yeah, all the rollers and bearings are standard. You know, it's your only real stuff that they're going to have had made specifically will be the pressed steel things.
the powder coated pressed steel and they've printed the actual filament run out sensor is on a printed bar, which they've designed. The only bit that I don't like, and I have actually relayed this back to TOAUTO, the part cooling fan, the duct, is awful.
Right.
It isn't. It's a printed duct like you used to get on the old printers when we first got them. The problem I have with it, there's no clip on the left side. It's just like wedged on there. So when you're running on high speed and high infill, because of the movement on the high infill side, that was sort of trying to tilt its way over.
Yeah.
After
and once it gets hot, it gets loose and everything.
Yeah, the problem I was finding, because there's just enough tilt on it, it's actually slightly lower on this far corner than the hot end. So it was trying to rip your print up.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, I mean, I don't even class printing a fan duct as an upgrade. That's just a thing that you do when you get a printer. Is you print a better fan duct.
Yeah, the first thing I will do. Okay, the second print, because I done one because I couldn't help it. The second thing I will be doing is doing the Satsana fan duct kit for it, because I had that on my Ender 3. It ran flawlessly for 18 months. Absolute pristine prints. I know it works. There's no point in messing around looking at other options.
I mean, the ones that I run on mine is just this a really old model CR10 hand duct thing. I've not even. I the very first one I printed out was the bullseye, and I found the bullseye's all right, but I just found all those little parts and the fixings and everything, and again, it was the vibration, and it just comes loose. And this is just a one-piece thing. One screw holds it on. Everything else is locked in secure.
I used to run the bullseye on my. Well, I actually built a bullseye on my Frankenstein, which was running an E3D V6. Yeah, the V6. But that was actually nice because it was in two pieces that bolted through and almost interlocked the hot end in place. So for that was perfect, but for the MK8, it's a bit too, like you say, too fiddly for what it is. The Satsana is a one-piece print that incorporates two ducts with one front fan. So basically, your pot cooler goes on the side. There's a channel that goes round to a second duct.
Yep.
You know, it does what it says on the tin, and like I say, it is actually, if you go on the Ender forum, it is the most popular fan duct to date for any Ender 3. Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean it probably is pretty good. I like I say, I stumbled across this one. I stumbled across this one ages ago. It prints like that with no supports. Your top duct goes in there, and then your front fan goes in there, and
very similar to the Satsana.
It's absolutely banging. You've got a little hook there that clips onto your carriage, and a single screw goes in there. and
Nice.
it just works.
Very
Simple.
similar design to the Satsana, to be honest.
Yeah.
Satsana's got the 2 screws
Yeah.
that the standard Ender one does on the carriage.
Yep.
The only difference is the cooling fans on the side.
Yep.
If it works, it works.
We just got to the point on the video where you put the Z rods in and a short battery change. So it's a dual Z rod printer.
Yeah, it is.
Which
the hardest part on the whole of that build was actually feeding the Zs through the location on the carriages.
yeah.
Purely because it was a little bit finicky to get them started.
Right.
Not entirely sure why, because as soon as they started, they just glide through.
Yeah. It's just any.
Just a little bit. Meh. Whether it's a slightly unclean end on the Z, I don't know. But it glided down. I've locked them in place, backed them off ever so slightly. So instead of having them full seated, heavy,
Yep.
basically backed it off ever so slightly and tightened them up so they're located. Put the tops on, the stabilizers on the top for the Z rod, and that's pretty much the Z done. You've then got a case of your quick wiring, which is blatantly easy. They have put letters on everything. So every limit switch has its own letter. Every step has got its own. You can't go wrong. You really can't. Quick bed level, which was the generic. The corner.
There's no ABL on it or anything.
No, on the next version up there is. It's got ABL, the full works.
There's ABL and there's ABL.
Yeah, there is a full firmware update out, which I haven't done yet, which has full manual bed mesh leveling.
Oh, okay.
So it has multi-point mesh leveling. I think it's 14 spots or 12 spots. And it's pretty accurate from what I have listened to. It's pretty good. So I basically done the standard go around the corners. I've done that probably 4 or 5 times just because that's me all over. Went round. I actually taped it because I was having issues with adhesion, and I think it's more my filament fault than the bed fault.
Okay, so the bed is flat, is it?
Yeah. From what I can tell, yes, but I have suspicions it's got a slight little kink. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
That's my next plan, is to revisit the bed on the pyramid.
Time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah. I expect. The reason I suspect it is the way it's packaged. They wedge 2 bits of polystyrene in, quite thick blocks, and then wind it down quite hard. And I've got a feeling there's going to be just a little bit of flex there that might have, if it's been a prolonged transit, it may have caused a little bit of a.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
Time will tell. Time will tell. I mean, let's face it, beds are known to be all over the place.
Yeah, well, to be honest, what I do plan with it is to get a PI bed for this. I want to get a metal PI bed on there.
Okay. Is the bed on it magnetic and removable, is it?
The bed that's currently on there is a glass bed.
Oh, really? Oh, did it come with glass?
Comes with glass bed with the 4 clips. Now, this is the other point. The other thing I wanted to actually mention. Started my first print, which was a long print. And I noticed the back bed cable. There's no real support on the back bed cable. It's only got that cotton bracing, that cotton sock, if you like, nylon sock thing. Now, the back bed Z stop is right in the center. and the cable comes right over it.
Yep.
The issue that I was worried about, over time, that sock is going to start sagging.
Yep.
My worry was, over time when it sagged, if it goes back, it's going to clip that Z stop all the time.
Right.
So, quick tip for you, it's not the full solution. I'm working on that. Your butterfly clips on there to hold the glass bed are huge. They are big clips. They're
Yeah.
this sort of size with big, long arms.
I usually switch out for picture frame clips, the little metal ones.
I got them, and I was about to do that until I noticed this cord. What I've done is cable tied the cord to the bed clip. To the
Right.
It holds it, so it swings it around the side of the frame. But there's
Right.
the back of the frame is like a flat leg, and what it does, it pokes it out that way.
Right.
So as it comes forward, it comes over this and back, but your Z stop's in the middle of the bed.
Right.
So, quick tip: put a cable tie around it. It won't knock your Z clip.
There you go.
But yeah, I will end up making some form of cable brace, probably on a slight angle so it deflects it away from the Z stop.
Oh, you mean this is your power cable coming from the heated bed?
Yes. Yes.
So it doesn't actually have so on the later enders they all have a mounting bracket that holds it.
Yeah.
Now that's there as well so that the soldering doesn't get broken. Okay.
Yeah. So what I'll end up doing on the left hand rear, if you're looking at the machine, I will make or print a arm, if you like, that the cable will clip into.
I'm sure there's one available. I mean, there's lots about for different styles of printer, so one of them's got to fit, right?
There's a nice one for the Ender 3 out there, the original Ender 3. So my thought is I will probably adapt that or look to see if there's a CR10 one floating around.
Yeah. That seems about right. If they're on the same side of the bed, I mean, if not, you can just mirror it. It depends on the location of your cable in relation to your bed leveling screws.
See, it's just off center. The thing is, it's not to the left. So what I'm thinking, I might have to make an arm that sort of curves and then back out. So it will come off the spring and that can sit in, but flick it back again. So
we can do that. That's easy enough. Just send me some dimensions. Send me some dimensions and we can modify
we'll play.
it.
We'll play. There will be something. Other than that, I can't really find many issues with this machine. I am so surprised because I was expecting to pick teeth out of it.
Again, it's entry level fare, but it's not beginners things.
No, it's not beginner, but
it's an entry level Tinker toy again.
I would say it's slightly above entry level because they've put a lot into the firmware. So the Fuku's screen does that whole funky image thing.
Yep.
I think this will do the same. I've not tried yet. Yeah, when you turn it on, it's got a full colored display, and then it's got the same layout as the Fuku's on the print screen, exactly the same. But on the side, where the image is on the Fuku's, this has the TOAUTO logo in color.
Right.
I think it's running on the same system, and I know it will run the MKS Wi-Fi chip. You can run an MKS Wi-Fi chip in there, the same as the Fuku's.
Yep.
Now, the software that gives the Fuku's that imagery is the MKS Wi-Fi plugin in Cura.
Right.
So I am pretty sure, with a little bit of play, it will run the imagery.
Oh, okay.
So
So this might very well be a feature that is going to become common to new 3D printers.
Because like it's the best thing ever. I love it. That image on the screen when you're selecting your print just makes life so easy. I love it. It's just like, oh yeah, it's that one.
Yeah. Especially like one of the things with the way that Cura names things. So like you put a model in, but then if, for example, you put another model in and then delete the old model, it still
It's still
names
got
it
that
the
name.
name of the original model.
I've actually got on one of my files, probably on one of my SD cards, probably 10 files, all with the same name. Because I just rapidly sliced. And then I was like, shit, they're all the same. Which one is it? This eliminates that. It doesn't matter if they're all the same because the picture's there.
No, that's a real boon, especially on, as the other thing is one, there's a lot of printers that only allow 16 characters in the name.
Yeah.
And two, there's a lot of people like maybe Digital Taxidermy that have long file names. And like this, while that is good for organizing STL collections, it's not so good when you have a 16 character display only.
And it's
and
not good
while you can activate the scrolling of those names in the firmware, a lot of places don't off the bat.
No. It's when you're someone like me that does stupidly large amount of products or prints, if you like, for the same product, and it's really lazy and tries to go too quick for his own boots. That inability for it to scroll and tell you is a nightmare. And secondly, when you've got all the same name and you've forgotten to put in, generally I usually put keys in for times.
Yep.
So I adapt the name very slightly. I'll delete the, I don't know, CCCF on the front and put the time in. So 5H6D, something along those lines for each file, which is fine, but you still got to scroll through. If you've got the image and you just literally look, you're like, that one, no, that one, no, that one, and
It makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, so much more efficient. I can with the Fucus. I've done the big tower that a lot of you might have seen on Under the Hot End Facebook group and some other places, Instagram and bits and bobs. That was that was a big project. That was huge. There was a lot of components to that. I mean, each individual door is separate. They're all different sized doors. Each lamp was different. The roofs. There's multiple sections.
So many parts.
So many. And I'd done half on the Fucus, half of the actual build, and half on the artillery because I love the Hornet. It is running flawless at the minute. I can't fault it. It was so much quicker on the Fucus because I was cutting that time down, finding each print.
Yep.
I was just like, yeah, bang, yeah, bang, yeah, bang.
Yeah.
The artillery, one thing I'm finding with the artillery, the only bad point that I can fault with the artillery at the minute, if you've got a full SD card or an SD card with a lot of files, when you go to select your print from SD, the whole thing slows down. The whole screen goes in slow-mo. And what happens is you turn the knob per click, you think you're on, it shows almost like you're on the right file, you push print, and it comes up the wrong freaking file, the one above it or one below it.
Yeah.
So then you got to back out and
in the early days of MP3 players, I had one that ran off of a hard drive, and I upgraded the hard drive to a massive hard drive, and then that
And it takes
instantly had exactly the same problem. It just
yeah, yeah. I mean,
slowed down the scrolling in between things. Yeah,
yeah. If you stick with something like I would say 8 gig or lower,
yeah,
it's fairly happy with it.
yeah,
If you go higher, yeah, it's not liking that.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
one
yeah.
thing it doesn't really like.
Well, that's fair enough.
It's not a major no, is it? I mean, for the print quality I'm getting at those speeds, I'm more than happy to use a small SD.
So back
So
to the pyramid.
the
But we
pyramid,
got the pyramid together. You taped up the bed, and
yeah.
then
So I don't
we have a little we've freeze framed on here on your little video of the print in progress.
basically I wanted to go more or less out of the box with no major fiddling on a big long print. And I picked the first roll up of filament that I have, which was from EYO, which is their rainbow, which is nice, but it's probably the wrong model for it. I'm not sure. I'm not taking 100% on the
I
rainbow.
mean, with the color transitions in there, it looks pretty good. Like
Yeah,
the bands of color came out really nicely, and in actual fact, I think your infill level, your supports on that helped.
helped. I mean, the infill was huge. It was a mass of infill. Um, there was a core that went right up through the center to the top. Well, that opened out at the end like an accordion. I stood in the garden playing the accordion out of rainbow filament. um, and obviously, at the base of the Stormtrooper helmet, it's very curved. It's a very big arc on there, so it was basically a support channel going up through there. There's a support channel on the eyes. That was the mass of it. But because of that amount of infill, it meant my transition on color was quite a nice gradient. It worked up
Yeah, yeah.
really well.
You'd have probably lost a couple of those bands if you hadn't have had it in there.
Oh, for sure, at least a couple. At least a couple, I think, because I reckon there was probably more on support than there was in the print. Believe
It's
it or not,
possible. It's
I think there
possible.
probably was.
I mean, at least 50-50, I'd say.
Yeah, it was at least 50-50. Now, I didn't want to throw too much at it, so basically I ran off the profile that was on the card
Yep.
because it comes with your SD card and the instructions to build the profile in Cura, because they're in a preloaded in Cura. So it gives you the dimensions of the bed, the standard stuff on building a new custom profile, and
Yep.
then you upload the profile off the stick.
Oh, brilliant.
Ideal. I mean, there's a preloaded profile. That's always a winner.
Yeah, perfect.
Dumped it in, and it's a profile that's running at 0.15 instead of
Okay.
0.2.
What, layer height?
Yeah, so it's an 0.15.
Weird number to choose.
Yeah, that seems to be coming around more and more at the minute. There's quite a few printer producers putting 0.15, and
Weird. Like, usually it's divisible by 2
yeah, a
or
lot of the
4.
time it's 0.2, 0.4, 0. But for
Yeah,
some
yeah,
reason
yeah.
they seem to be hitting the 0.15. I haven't played with 0.15 particularly a lot because my universal's at 0.2 and I've got that pretty bang on that I don't need to go any lower. Unless I'm going super fine, and then I'll drop down
Yeah,
to
I mean, I've kind of got 3 detail standards, which is 0.2, 1.6, or 1.2.
yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
0.2, 0.16, or 0.12.
yeah. I mean, for the most bulk of what I do run. I do tend to run on 0.4.
Yeah.
0.4 nozzle, and just 0. Yeah, I keep it as a pretty standard setup on mine, and it seems to cope with most things. So loaded this profile in, noticed that. Didn't really notice anything phenomenally great about the settings other than that. I didn't notice anything too untoward. Just selected supports, as obviously as you can see, for a helmet with weird holes and contours. I thought, no, best to have a few supports on this, and set it to go. Now the slice come in at around 3 days, I think it was on this. I think probably 2 days of that was support, but hey ho. So put it in the printer, loaded the filament up, crack go, and left it to it basically.
This
I
was your
walked away.
first print.
Yeah, well, I ain't playing with it and just left it. Just walked away. I did poke my head in on the following evening. I poked my head in the shed and just sort of thought, is it still on the bed? You know, is it still there? And
Does it exist?
yeah, it hadn't pinged off, and I've got filament filling up my printouts because that would be going.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah,
It's
and
always reassuring when you go halfway through a 3-day print and it's still printing.
it's still going, and it's doing what it's meant to be doing. That's always a bonus. Basically, it's quiet. It's really quiet. It's actually quieter than the Fukus.
Really?
And yeah, I don't know how it is stupidly quiet.
Okay.
From what I've read and what I've heard, they're generic fans, so they're probably going to wear out quite quick. Because I don't think they're anything special.
Once you get a bit of dust in the bearings and stuff, it's yeah.
But at the minute, it's quiet. It is really quiet. It's so quiet. I would say it was quieter than my Ender. It's quiet. It's a big gantry, so that basically I've got it sat on top of my enclosures, which probably isn't the best idea because they're not the most strong enclosures in the world. So I get a little bit of wobble when it's on full ball on the enclosure, which I found quite amusing. But what I've done is I obviously have the Sunlu filament dryers, so I made up a mount which I printed on the Fukus, which has got a cradle for the Sunlu to sit in, but it's on a swinging arm. Because of the height of my print house, I couldn't mount the spool holder on the top of the pyramid because it's that tall. So I was like, yeah, I can't have that. So I've got my Sunlu on its swinging arm on the top of my enclosure, which then bowdens up to the direct drive unit. I've actually put a clamp on the top of the frame and then feeds back to the direct drive. And yeah, it run flawless. Absolutely flawless. It done exactly what it said on the tin, and yeah. I'm even impressed by the 1.5 layer height. I don't think it come out bad at all, like you seen on the video. It was actually, yeah, it was pretty good, pretty good. I mean, you can see it here.
Aha! And here is the print in the flesh, so to speak.
Yeah, but as you can see, there's no real. I mean, up there is the worst of the layer lines, but I think that's partly
that's always going to be the case,
Yeah, I mean, everywhere else is pretty good. I haven't actually cleaned all the supports off yet. You can see in there, it's still stuck there a little bit.
Did you just do supports everywhere? Did you?
Yeah, I just clicked everywhere and just let it go. I was just like, yeah, you carry on.
Yeah.
Do what you're gonna do.
No worries.
Yeah, so my experience with it has been good so far. I'm really impressed. To the point I've ordered a PI sheet for it, PI bed, because I think it's worth it.
Even though it's got a glass one at the moment.
Yeah, I do like glass beds, I do, but I prefer that flex. Purely for the fact of it can still be slightly warm and you can pop it and you can get straight back on with another print.
Mm.
It's more for the fact of the amount I get through and turn around, that sort of time of letting the whole bed cool. It is like half a print for me in a day.
Yeah.
If it, if you accumulate my prints up in one day, every time I've got to let that bed cool down, I lose, almost another print a day.
Yeah.
So for that fact alone, yeah, I'm buying. Well, I've already purchased, to be honest, the PI bed, which I can't wait for that to get here and have a play with the PI on there. See what that
Nice.
does. Could be fun. It could go one or two ways. That's a big bed on there. It should be fine. So yeah, my thought on the pyramid personally is it's well worth its money. Well
Yeah.
worth its money for that size print. And the extra. Well, it's well worth the upgraded version. The Mark II is definitely 100% worth it. 100%. Because you've got that full hot end.
The big question is the price difference.
Yeah,
what sort of price difference are we looking at? Because we're looking at 299 for this.
Yeah, it's about the same price. It's not far off. I did get back to him because last time we went on their website, there was two prices, weren't there? It was all a bit weird. What it is they couldn't do an English version.
Yeah.
All in dollar. So one is American and one's English.
Yeah.
There's the difference on those two prices. Now, the upgraded version is pretty much the same sort of price scale, I think.
Right. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on their website and see what's happened.
Well, I'm actually in the process of going to be talking to them over the next couple of days, and I will get clarification. I will get 100% clarification for anybody who is actually debating about buying a pyramid.
Yeah.
And if it's a reasonable price, I would say jump on it. It's a steal. It is a steal. If we can get a good price, I would say jump on it. I know they didn't have much stock in the UK when they sent this one. I think it was only about 13, 14 units. So if we can get a good price, definitely, if you're thinking about it, just get on it straight away. Don't mess about because I think they will go quick.
Yep.
I really do.
So all in all, you're pretty pleased with the printer and the build and the way that it's gone and the way that it's printing.
Yeah. I mean,
so I guess the big question is can it end the ender?
I haven't even put it up at the ender yet.
Should we run through the metrics?
Yeah, we can. I mean, I personally, yeah.
Yeah. So packaging. So we have 1 to 5 on that. Now you did mention some issues with the packaging of it.
It's it's generic, but I suppose really it's more the fact.
You said about the way that it was packaged, not the actual packaging itself, but that all comes into it.
The packaging's actually quite good in a way. They've made out slots for pretty much each item, and it's lidded. The bad side of it, the packaging's fine. The way it's packaged is really good. But what they've done, makes it a bit scrappy because they put lids on everything. You can't see it. Some of these lids, when they arrived, were so precise, it didn't look like there was parts in there.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to miss parts.
Yeah.
It would have it would be very easy to miss parts. I think if there was like a little sticker or a tab on each section,
Yep.
you know, all it needs is a little red dot or a pen dot or something, so you know to lift it off.
Yeah.
Would have been a
So
lot better.
we that
Um,
gets that one probably what, about a 3?
yeah, I'd say about a 3 because I wouldn't say it's the thickest, densest foam in there. It's like
Mm.
a pretty much a sort of
Right.
generic polystyrene.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
we'll
we've got a 3 because you were saying there was the issue about over clamping down the bed and the things like that
yeah,
and
I
stuff
think
like
that
that. So
I'm
ease of
getting
assembly, ease of assembly, 1 to 10. Bearing
um
in mind that the Ender 3 was a 4.
yeah, it's probably about the same as an Ender 3, if
Yeah,
I'm honest.
but it comes with better instructions and
But
things,
the
and so
instructions are a lot
but
nicer
there's more parts and
and
stuff.
it's
So
cleaner. It is
yeah,
very much more refined. So like everything's countered and there's no swarf, there's no oil. It's really clean. Um, the instructions are really clean. It's about the same amount of stuff as the Ender because they've already pre-assembled the carriages with the steppers and things.
yeah, which is the same.
About the same,
So
yeah. So it's going to
so
be
we
about the
give
same as the Ender, but
give that a 4 as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
the only benefit it's got is the instructions are better on this one.
yeah. Okay,
It's
well
about
we'll give it a 5 because it also has the video, it has better instructions,
okay. Yeah, that
and all
sounds
of
fair.
that then.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's a lot of work still. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that gets accounted for in this one, which is time to first print.
Hi to streamy people. Time to first print. You're looking at around, if you've got any technical ability whatsoever, I would say about 30 minutes minimum.
Mm. So, again, as a reference point, the Ender 3 had a 4 on this one.
It's probably not far off the same as the Ender. It's about the same work, except for you haven't got the screen and things to put in. That's already pre-installed. The bed's installed. The same as the Ender. Yeah, it's going to be about the same, mate. Gonna
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Okay. So, build quality 1 to 10. Again, as a reference, the Ender had a 4.
Build quality is actually really good. Really good. It's not like it's skimped. It's got a real nice TFT screen. The casings are nice. All the M panels with the powder coating are all nicely done.
Mm.
And it's tough as well. They're not scratching easy.
Yep.
The overall stability of the machine is strong. It's stiff.
Yep.
It's rigid.
So 1 to 10, we would be at.
It comes standard yellow springs.
That comes later, but yeah. Okay, so
Um,
1 to 10, we are at.
what was the Ender at? 4.
That was at a 4 as well.
I
Because
would
you
say
had
it's 6.
things like the screen back isn't covered, you've got
Oh,
very
this is all
basic
incorporated.
materials, no
Yeah.
end caps on any of the things. It's all pretty skeletal, you know.
I would say this is definitely higher than the Ender. It's got to be a 6 or maybe a 7. 6, yeah, about 6, I would say.
About a 6. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
'cause
cool.
it's all polished well. It's nice. There's a couple of things you could change, like the brackets, couple of the brackets, but it's nice. I like it.
Yep. So we've got design from 1 to 5. Now you were saying about cable routing and
Yeah,
the lack of the support of the
few
bed
things.
cable
There's a few things, and a few. I mean, they're
and
pretty minor.
the fan duct falling out and stuff.
Yeah, there's a few things that are pretty minor that it does lose a couple of points for, definitely. Um, but they're very small and very easily solved.
Hmm.
So I would say, what we out of 5?
Out of 5, yeah.
Go with 3.5,
Three and
shall
a
we?
half.
3.5, because it loses half for silly things that can be solved very easy.
Hmm.
Whether it's printed parts like the duct or silly things. So I'm
Yep.
not going to lose the whole point for that. But the cable on the back of the bed is definitely a 1 for me. That's
Yep.
definitely a 1 point down, because that's a simple fix that has been oversighted.
Hmm. Okay, cool.
I think that's fair.
So, first print quality.
Well, you can choose on that. I'll let you choose. I know it's probably the wrong colour.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get to see it up close to fully inspect it, but I mean, it does look very much up there. You know,
For
I
me, it's solid. There's no real lines in it that you can see whatsoever. I would go quite high because that's my first ever attempt at a helmet and the first ever attempt at using that machine, and it's done good.
okay. So on that basis, and from what I've seen, 4.5.
1.5 it is. I'm
You know, it looks really tight. Um,
yeah, yeah. It's
I mean,
super tight. It's okay. It's not the quickest print, but then I can't really tell how long these take normally because this was the first one.
bed
Um,
stability.
it's actually quite good.
What's it got? Is it a single rail or?
It's a single center, but it's mounted on 2 opposing direction rails. So
Hmm,
you've got one at the front and one at the back, and it's bolted through. But it's running on 6 wheels along the bed onto that middle rail. So it's obviously it's not as good as, let's say, linear, but
yep,
I don't think you're going to get much stronger support for a bed on wheels.
yep.
So yeah, it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's, like I say, the linear rails is a whole different kettle of fish. But for the wheel track, I would say it's about as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty stiff, pretty tight. It's smooth. It's
Okay.
not
So
great.
1 to 5.
So if we go with what, 4, 3, 4,
Yep.
I
Okay.
would say
We'll go.
because it's about
So
the best.
I would say with it only having a single rail, that goes down, especially considering the size of the bed.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose where they've gained it is they've spread the wheels quite nicely along the length of the bed, so
Yeah,
it's
but it's
clamped
not that,
quite.
is it? It's the
No,
width.
I mean it's freaking thick metal they put in there as a carriage.
Yeah,
It's
so
like this sort
but
of thick. So
that just adds more weight.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
That's the thing is like you've still got that central rocking point that is
Yeah,
just
I
it's
mean
not taken care of.
I can go from each diagonal when it's not moving.
Mm,
It's solid. Um, but that being said, there is ways of making it stronger again. There always is going to be,
yeah.
you can over engineer. Um, I don't know. I'd say with about 3, it's definitely quite happy
Okay.
there. It's quite strong. It's doing
Three
what it.
three it is then. So we're on to the usability sections. Beginner friendly 1 to 5.
Once it's built, I would say really user friendly. It's really simple. The only other thing I don't, or that's less user friendly than it could be, is when the bed comes fully out, it's very difficult to get at the screen.
No, well, beginner friendly, not user friendly. So this was the point, as we discussed this
Yeah.
earlier on, with the fact that it's not necessarily what we would call a beginner's machine.
No, it's not. It's once it's set up, it's not bad for beginners. It's not
Yeah,
bad. It's sort of mid-range for a beginner.
yeah.
I think personally it's aimed at people that have started with something and gone bigger.
So on 1 to 5,
Free.
3. Yep,
You know, if you've got your dad helping you put it together,
yep,
it's a good machine for a beginner.
yep. Okay.
Um,
So bed leveling 1 to 5.
it's basic bed leveling at the moment until you do that firmware update, or unless you've got the uprated version, which is
Okay. So that'll be about a 3 then.
at free. Yeah, it's the four corner jobby, with a center point. So yeah, if we went with a 3, but that might change, like I say, with the update that I haven't managed to get round to doing yet.
Yeah. Perfect.
Perfect.
So user support community, is there one?
Yeah, funny enough, yeah, there
Really?
is.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I was a bit like, TOAUTO, the shop is actually really good. They've got a slowly growing support group there,
Yep.
which is small, but it is growing. But there is an actual pyramid Facebook group that's a private group
Yep.
that you tend to get invited to from TOAUTO and everything else. Now, that group is really quite helpful, and there's some clever people in that group.
Okay.
There's some clever guys in there. They are making whole new firmware and all different weird stuff.
Oh right. So there's a lot of experimental doings going on.
Yeah, there seems, and
Okay.
it's quite a nice little atmosphere, to be honest.
It's quite
There's no,
interesting, again, because of the nature of that particular printer, obviously going back to its similarities to the Ender and being more of a tinker toy as it opens it up to being one of those things that people will buy as a base machine and play
exactly.
with.
Yeah, and
Okay, so
the nice thing
user support.
it,
Sorry.
they're not. The nice thing with that group that I find is there's no real silly questions either there, which is quite nice. I haven't noticed any bullying or any, snipey goings on in that group
It's
so
not
far.
big enough to be a problem, but
No.
it's also small enough that it's still useful.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, um, pretty good so far. Pretty good.
Nice.
I'm finding my feet there. Obviously, nobody really knows who I am too much in that group at the minute, so that's quite nice.
Okay.
I
So
could be stealth.
user support community 1 to 5.
I'll give it a solid 3.5.
Solid 3.5. Nice.
Solid
Okay.
3.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ease of calibration 1 to 5. As a reference,
Actually,
the Ender 3 got a 3. Got a 3.
what is easier with this is with your whole firmware style side of things, it's on SD card. You don't have to plug it into a laptop. So that's a bonus. But
Mm.
as for e-step calibrations, etc., you do have to plug it back in onto point of face and
Yeah.
do the
So it's
standard.
basically the same. Basically the same.
Yeah. The firmware side, damn sight easier. The e-step side, the same thing. Now, when you do the firmware,
Mm.
if you end up upgrading the firmware or writing your own firmware, you can actually incorporate the e-steps, and the Zs and everything else into the screen on this machine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can do that anyway if you write your own firmware.
except for on the scrolling screen with the ender. It was very difficult to
yeah,
do.
you've got to have a LCD screen.
Yeah, a TFT screen.
A TFT,
So
yeah, sorry.
you can add that in on this.
Yeah.
Which is something I will end up playing with, and we will go from there. That'll be a whole nother
Yeah.
route. But at
Okay.
the minute, same as the ender.
Customer support 1 to 5. Have we used customer support on this one?
I have actually responded and talked with them about a few things. Now they've been stupidly busy because they're obviously sorting the V2 at the minute, the second version. So they've been
Yep.
very tied up. But everything I've asked, they've had an answer for or found out for me.
Yep.
My first question was, before it even arrived, has this thing got thermal runaway enabled?
Yep.
They weren't sure on the desk. They went and actually got the technician, and I talked to the technician. So they
How long was it taking to get a response and stuff from them?
That was really quick because that was before the V2 kicking off. So that was very quick. I was getting a reply literally. If I wrote one at night, there was one waiting for me in the morning. If I replied to that one, I was getting it back within an hour. It has slowed a little bit, although I did send a message last night and got a reply back this morning.
Yep.
You're looking within 12 hours, you should have pretty much all your answers.
Yep. Okay.
They're
well, that's good.
Pretty good.
That's
pretty
good. So 1 to 5.
I'm
3 or 4.
I'm going to go with 3 at the minute.
Yep.
Purely because I haven't hit them with an issue.
Yep. Fine.
A major issue.
Okay.
That is
Next section, noise. Silent
Quiet.
board. Yes, it's got a silent board. Final print noise. 1
Quiet.
to 5. 5 is better.
It's going to be at a 4. It is quiet. For the stocky, standardy sort of fans, I was expecting that really high, whistly thing going on.
But they could likely become like that in the future.
Yeah, it's not to say they won't end up noisy. It's to say at current, by doing this video and the time I've used it, they're very quiet.
So we've got rapid fire bonus round. Okay, dual Z.
Yes.
Okay, generic or bespoke parts. So
mostly generic.
They are mostly generic. So that will get a 4 because we like generic.
We do like generic.
We like
we don't
generic.
Like weird umbilical cords you can't undo when you get clogged.
No. Right, belt tensioners. It hasn't got.
No.
Direct drive.
Yes.
Yes. Glass or PEI bed.
Yes.
Yes. Splicer compatibility.
Yes.
Well, it's got all that on the thing, so we will give that a.
It's not a top.
There.
You have to do a bit of work, but it is all there to do it, and it tells you how to.
So it's got a 4 because it can be compatible. It's not automatically click button done. Filament supplied. Did you get any filament?
Did. I got a really bright yellow.
Good.
But it's only about 50 grams. And it's not the smallest sample.
But you've still got some.
Yeah. I've still got enough. I reckon I could print at least half the models on that SD card.
Yeah. You haven't got Capricorn tube because it's direct drive, so that's fine.
It's direct drive.
Yeah. Metal extruder, or has it got metal
MK8.
extruder?
MK8.
Sorry,
MK8.
It hasn't.
It's an MK8, isn't it?
No, the extruder.
Oh, the extruder. No, sorry. It isn't. No, the upgraded version is, I believe. The upgraded is a Titan extruder. This one is a plastic BGM style.
Okay. So.
But
yeah. Okay, but it's not got a metal extruder. No. Touchscreen.
Yes. And it's nice. It's responsive. It's nice and colourful, and it does what it says on the tin.
dual gear extruder.
Yes. No. Yes. Yes. It's a BGM. Yes. Dual gear.
Yes. Okay. So that brings us out at a grand total of 71.5.
71.5.
That
So
puts
we are
it.
just behind the CR30.
Yes.
Just behind the CR30. That's not bad, considering the
is not bad.
CR30 is 3 times more expensive.
Yes.
That is pretty good going, to be
That is
honest.
not bad. That is not bad. It
I'm
does put it
pretty-
below the Mingda.
Yeah. How did we get below the Mingda?
How did we get below the Mingda? That's interesting.
How did we get below the Mingdas?
I don't know.
The DC. Oh, probably because the Mingda had a funky, colourful light on it.
It got better for ease of assembly,
Yeah.
and the time to first print.
Yeah.
Mingda also got a better score for the build quality, because of reasons.
Did it?
It did.
I mean, the track on the rail and things like that were really good, weren't they?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like those were a few key factors.
I mean, if it were me, I would get this over the Mingda, personally. Personally.
I mean, out of all the printers that we've had so far, you've not mentioned the Mingda again since you built it.
It's probably because the Mingda's not here at the minute.
Right. That's another
Problem
thing.
is the Mingda is out of sight, out of mind. Because it's one that I actually brought and decided to involve in this. For personal reasons, wanting to promote it and let you guys know what they're like. It's not a bad printer by any means. It isn't. It really isn't a bad machine. It's actually quite good. But bang for buck, I would say the Pyramid's better.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we can analyze these when we've got our top 5, top 10 after a while, and see which ones give the best results over time and all of that. But that's why we're doing these based on these metrics, so we have a comparison.
Exactly
We can go back over them, and the Mingda is £50 less expensive.
That's a bit of a bonus.
Well, actually, we'll have to double check the prices on the Pyramid because of the funny things on their website for UK purchase.
And as well as that, I think the bonus with the Pyramid over the Mingda is the build volume, for one.
Well, yeah, that was my next thing. Is like the Mingda is £50 cheaper, but the Pyramid is considerably larger build volume. I can't give a percentage off the top of my head because I'm not that clever.
I'm certainly not. I'm probably the worst person to ask for percentages.
Yes, exactly. So let's not do quick maths in our head. But
I'm definitely not Rayman.
Yeah, what we do have is that they are fairly close. And it was effectively let down by the complexity of the build, and in that focus also makes it not so beginner friendly.
Yeah, I mean, if we
we're only talking about 2 points.
Yeah, which
so that's an easy one to go.
Nothing.
But yes, it's still scoring quite high in the ranks of things.
It's something that will be staying in the print house until something of a similar size comes along and wants to knock it off its perch.
Yes, and I mean that will be the thing, is another large format printer.
Yeah. I mean, there's the problem is I'm restricted on space to have them all here. If I could, I would, just because. But I would imagine the next sort of machine might be coming across from Neil, I would imagine. if I've got certain producers wanting me to do certain things on one of their printers, which happens occasionally, then obviously that will come here. But if it's bigger and or same sort of size and better, then obviously the pyramid will move over and come back at another stage.
Yeah.
I personally, I love it. I think with a few little tweaks to prints and little bits like the belt and the hot cooling duct and a firmware update, that is going to be a stonking machine. That it really is going to be a good machine.
Yeah.
I will certainly be happy to play with that.
Nice.
So, yeah, that one is the pyramid. Basically, I don't know if anybody noticed, I made a new cradle system for the Sunlu while Neil was away on a swinging arm. So it can basically move anywhere it wishes to move. And you can turn it round to see what it's doing. And if you've
I've
got
seen a little video and it looks very good.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's something I've been working on, which we're tossing around a few ideas what to do with at the minute. So that could be something that comes out soon.
Yep.
So, like I say, with the way I set the pyramid up and the confines of the height of my room, that Sunlu dryer was a godsend.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
that's really helped you in a big way.
it helped me no end. It's reduced my height, meaning I could bring the whole filament thing down almost level with the printer and feed up. And all I'd done was print a little Bowden connector that I mounted to the top of the printer.
I'm just trying to pull up the window. The video. There you go. Here's the video now.
Aha. Yeah,
So,
Ragtag. The pyramid is really surprising, mate. It's a nice surprise as well. I'm really chuffed, actually. I'm so happy I won that. So this is the little cradle that I made. So that can rotate anywhere I want it to rotate. And I've
interestingly enough, that base connector that the dryer fits in, is that specifically to fit the Sunlu or is it expandable?
That is actually designed for the Sunlu. So it has two little cups in that two of the feet fit in on the Sunlu dryer. And it's actually curved inside for the side of the Sunlu dryer. It's an actual identical slot fit for the Sunlu dryer.
Yeah,
Rectangle
okay.
loving the dryer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the further on from that, obviously Sunlu specific is fine. It would be interesting if it could be made so that it expands.
For others, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, so rather than it being a cradle, it becomes a clamp.
yeah. I mean, basically, the good thing with that clamp is the JU and the Sunlu is identical shape. So
Yep.
they will both fit that same clamp. So JU and Sunlu S1 are dealt with. My next plan will be is if I can get hold of, or whatever dryer I can get hold of next, will be to see if we need to redesign the internals to fit next dryer, or it's something we can adapt so it has maybe an elastic bland that opens the jaw to clamp it, or that's my next idea, is to see if we can get hold of another dryer. Because obviously I'm limited by only ever having Sunlu S1s, which I'm fine with. I'm actually really happy that I've got my S1. I've actually got two. I like them that much. But if I can have something to compare it with, I can come up with, or we can come up with something even more funky to work for that.
Yep.
Definitely,
Yep.
definitely.
Yep. I mean, like it shouldn't be too hard. I mean, there's lots of designs for clamps and things about. It's just a case of making something work. I mean, you could do a pressure fitting toggle relatively
I mean,
easily.
there's a few things that you could
Yeah,
play around with, but
there's lots
we
of
need to
options,
know.
cam locks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love a
I
good
mean,
cam lock. I
a cam.
loves me a
Whoa.
good cam lock. Oof,
I mean
oof.
that works perfectly for the S1. Purely because it's got that curved side in there. The S1 can't roll around and move. Even if it snags, it shouldn't really cause an issue with it pulling the dryer off.
Mm.
Because the way it cradles in there, it can't slip forward or back. The only way it could go is straight up, which could be fun.
Yes, yes.
But
And you could also put a little bit of like double-sided sticky in the bottom, which will hold it down.
yeah, you did. I mean, where those feet sit in, you could actually put Velcro inside and on the feet, and it would be in there solid. That ain't going nowhere.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
So I was talking with you before the show, and we were suggesting that we could collect those files together and make them available on the Digital Taxidermy website for
yeah,
anybody who has the Sunlu dryers and would like to use one of them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that we can definitely do. It's got what we've done is we've done a design that's got two types of anchors um, to give you the option to bolt it to a flat surface or to a corner surface. It actually has mounting points in it to go to the top of a printer, and also just the cradle can be mounted to something. So it should be versatile enough to go in any position anybody can possibly dream of.
Yeah.
So yeah, what the plan is next is I'm going to be in talks with Sunlu over the next week about the bracket. We're going to look at putting it up on Digital Taxidermy's website with possibly something a little special from Neil from Digital Taxidermy might be in a bundle there.
Well, with all our free files, you get a code to get a discount anyway. Like we give those away. But
Maybe in Dryer just to get some discounts.
hopefully, we'll be able to organise something with Sunlu as well. Maybe they'll be up for adding a little something for codes for them, but we will see what they say.
I'm going to have a good chat with my contacts over there this week and see if we can't raise some sort of promotional codes that we can build a pack where you get the a discount on the dryer. You'll get a bit of discount on Digital Taxidermy as you do with all their free designs.
Mm-hmm.
And also you will get that bracket free as well. So you've got no excuses. You can mount your dryer and you can print to your heart's content, even with a wet roll.
Tis a lovely design. I'm assuming that you've got to have some bolts and stuff for that. It's not all 3D print only.
No, you need 2 nuts, 2 bolts. That's all it
Two
is.
nuts,
It's
two
an end.
bolts. Well, that's not the end of the world.
Now, 1 countersunk nut for the actual cradle to go into the arm.
Yep.
And then 1 to go from the arm to the 2 anchors. And then you use whatever you wish to use to fix the anchors to whatever object you want. So generally
Nice.
screw, or you would use the supplied nut and moon bolt. Sorry.
So
The,
I did
the moon
notice
nut
that anchor there is
skew
goes
if.
at a square. Goes
That's
at a
me.
square.
Oh, yeah, those are the corner mount ones.
Yep. And then you've got a flat mount for the wall.
Yes, in the
Yeah.
same pack. So
Is
you'll
it,
get
is
2
there any
mounts.
kind of amount that will mount onto a printer, onto the aluminium forms?
Right. The actual design on the flat cradle itself has 2 holes in the side of it that you put the bolts through, and the
Mhm.
little half moons that you put your spool holder in,
Yep.
and that'll bolt direct to your frame of your printer.
Oh,
Um,
fantastic.
or you can use a single of either of the anchors, and it will bolt to the printer.
Yep.
Okay, so you can use a single, but for what I would suggest on mounting to walls and enclosures and corners is to use 2 of the anchors, one on the top of the arm and one on the bottom, and clamp it, sandwich it together.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. Of
onto
course.
onto a printer itself, just use a single at the bottom and clamp through it.
Okay. Well, that's cool. So we'll get that compiled tomorrow. That I am now putting on my to-do list. We'll get that compiled and onto Digital Taxidermy website tomorrow, which will be available from www.digitaltaxidermy.co.uk, and it's under the free files section under STLs. You'll be able to find out more information about it on Martin's Facebook group at Under the Hot End. So you go onto Facebook, search Under the Hot End. You'll find Martin's group there
You'll find
where
the little
he's
man with his
usually about because he never sleeps.
You'll find the picture of the little man with his finger in the hot end. That is the group you want to be in.
That certainly
I
is.
I will also post something about it on my Instagram channel under the hot end as well, just so people are aware to jump over to the Facebook group. More than welcome to come on over, participate, chat, talk away, or just pick up some of the bargains that are on the group.
Absolutely, and there is a lot of them as well.
There's a lot at the
I've
moment.
noticed lately there is a metric ton of people throwing offers, discounts for filament, dryers, printers, things. If you've got it, 3D printing, you name it, they're in there.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
getting more and more. And the best
I've
thing is,
noticed there's people producing things for CNC as well that are in there. Like it's all about home manufacture, small scale manufacture, you
it's
name
all
it.
about the DIY construction ability of what you can do from home.
And a term I like to use, rapid prototyping.
Rapid
Definitely
prototype.
seems to be a hub for that at the moment.
Yeah,
Is
I mean,
get an idea and get it built.
yeah, I mean, the good thing is I've been in, and Carl himself has been in communication with a lot of producers over this last 2 weeks since Neil's been away. Obviously, I'm not prototype testing a lot of Neil stuff, which has freed me up for other areas a little bit. So
Hmm.
I've been getting involved with lots and lots and lots of different producers, and there should be even more bargains and deals coming along soon. And new products for us to play with and show you, which is always great. It's always a bonus because that's what keeps this content on our channel alive. Without the awesome producers, wouldn't be nowhere.
Well,
Um,
yes, exactly.
it wouldn't be anywhere. We wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't be watching it. I do want to give out a quick shout out to Dora over at Fuku's, um, who's been absolutely outstanding with customer service and dedication to just boosting that community across on the Fuku's team. She has been absolutely non-stop, bless her, for the last few weeks.
Yeah,
And
she's always chatting.
she is, oh, she's a machine, absolute
Hmm.
machine. I know they're having a few
I
issues.
like to think I spend a lot of time on customer service and everything, but
She's there.
she's next level.
She's next level. She's like Superman of the customer service people. She's just like nuts. Um, they're even having problems with fake accounts. So everyone at the moment, be warned, there is a fake Fuku's Tech account on Instagram. trying to scam people into putting in their bank details to win a prize. It's not Fukus.
Wow. Do people actually fall for that?
Yeah, well, it's quite convincing because it come up saying I won and it's a bait click job.
Take a tip from me. Never
Okay.
give your bank details to win a prize.
No.
Never,
But they want your
never.
address and everything. They've done it quite cunning. The way to know if it is the fake Fukus is it's lowercase Fukus dash tech is fake. The real Fukus is capital FOKOOS dash
Right.
tech. They've used lowercase. Basically, they're using the same pictures and the same posts that Fukus is posting. That's how sly it is.
Yep.
It looks the real thing. I had to look twice. So be aware at the minute. It's about.
Yep. Well, that's some useful information.
Yeah. The
That
other
is some
big
very useful information.
shout out is for Helen over at TOAUTO. She has been incredible, to be honest. Not so much on the help, but she's actually been talking and all about different products. She's very knowledgeable on all the stuff they do, from blacksmithing right the way through to 3D printing. She's quite a wealth of knowledge, and yeah, it's really nice to talk to. Really worth a good chat with. I'd like to
Do
say a big
you have any contacts at Elegoo?
Iligu. I don't have much contact with Iligu. I did around 2 years ago. And I've sort of drifted because I've not got much going on with resin.
Right.
I sort of went in the direction of wanting to know everything about FDM to start with while I'm at my current location.
Well, Theo has just sent me a thing about the new Elegoo Jupiter,
Right.
which is obviously the Saturn was their last one,
Yeah.
and Jupiter is a bigger planet. So guess what the Jupiter is?
A new resin.
It's a bigger resin printer with a 12.8-inch 6K LCD 3D printer.
That's quite interesting because announced this week from Any Cubic is a new printer.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, literally within the last 2 days is the new Any Cubic resin, and that looks quite naughty. That looks quite nice. It's
How big is that one?
not sure off the top of my head. I will have to. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. It does look quite interesting because they've actually gone with a blue cover instead of an orange or the standard generic yellows.
Yeah.
So I was quite like, oh, what's that? Let's have a look. It might be something I have to come back on. Oh, there it is. It's not as big. It's okay. It's the Anycubic Photon Ultra
Mm-hmm.
is here. I will share that over to you now.
Hang on, this is the one that was when you're saying about this on the other stream. It's a higher resolution, but similar size.
Yeah, I don't think there's much size difference.
No,
And it's an
no,
8.9.
this is going to be a massive one.
Yeah, that sounds more like the Frozen, is it? Which is quite big. I think it was the Frozen, which is
God, yeah.
quite a big unit. So yeah, But it seems to be getting very interesting again on the old resin printer front. They seem to suddenly all be amassing at the same time again.
Yeah.
It's funny how it flows with the resins.
Well, it's more about screen availabilities. Like
Yeah.
as the new screen comes up at the right price.
They all jump on it. It's just quite cool. Quite it amuses me. They all are like pushing to get it out.
Yeah, and again, everybody is doing these doing them as Kickstarters, etc., etc. I mean, it
Yeah.
just seems that Kickstarter is the way that people do these things now. What have we
Oh,
got?
that's why. It's a
What?
DLP, wasn't it? It's a DLP. That's why. That was the difference. That's what made me jump on it.
It's the same as the
Yeah.
Mono X. So it's 227 by 227.
Yeah.
What?
It was the fact it was a DLP, not an SLA. I think.
Yeah, but they're all DLPs. DLPs are the ones with the screens, and an SLA is
SLA,
a
the other.
laser.
Yeah.
The SLA is a laser one.
Oh, hang on. No, that's the next one. Yeah, that's something else that's coming out. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks interesting. It caught my eye purely because of the coloring on the casing. It was as simple as that.
Mm.
I thought, oh look, new color. It must be interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, it's basically the same as about the same as a Saturn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prints made with Photon Ultra. Possibly higher resolution. I'm not sure about the specs, if I'm honest. I don't do the resin printing.
Yeah, I'm very much similar. I've sort of dedicated myself more to FDM until I move house, and then I can get lots of all sorts of different printers and
Yeah.
get a bit, yeah, get a bit cuckoo all over the place with it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's the plan, because I will then have a dedicated print room, not a little shed. Summer house,
Yeah.
stroke print house. So yeah, so that could be interesting. It'll be interesting to watch over the next few weeks, because I think there's going to be a whole lot of new to
It's
market.
all right. In a few more months, you'll have them all rushing out new printers for Christmas as well.
Yeah, it's all going to go a little bit mad.
Yeah.
Pretty soon. Whether the tech can keep up with the madness is another story. That's yeah. I wouldn't like to say on that one.
I mean, like the question is at what point do we reach where the new printers take a leap forward rather than an incremental step? Because otherwise, yes, you can get this new printer, but how much benefit does it really give? What you it's going to be the ones that will decrease curing time, which will speed up prints, and you know all these sorts of things. Like
it's all little shortcuts that will
yeah,
get quicker and quicker and
yeah.
quicker.
And one of the other big things with the resin printers, of course, is like the screen is a consumable, right?
Exactly.
And every time you upgrade the screen, you also upgrade the cost of replacing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a big issue, especially on the larger format ones.
Yeah, exactly that. It gets a bit more crazy every time.
Yeah, that is a big issue.
We've got, you know, I've got a couple other people. Well, I've got one other person to mention, and I've got something else we've got coming for next week. Really, Iono, I want to give a shout out to. I had a couple of bits as a thank you for, working with Iono quite a lot, which I've done for quite a while now since they got going, which was really nice of them. quite grateful for that. It just means
Mhm.
that I can keep materials flowing, and there's going to be plenty more to show off and show you how good an Iono is, and hopefully some of you will go and try it because it is a wicked filament. Love it. It wasn't them paid me to say any of this, so it's genuine opinion that their product is really good.
Yep.
So they're worth a shout. And then this weekend I will be printing with some
Okay.
JU filament. I'm going to put on a bit of a project with some JU I've never tried before. It's a relatively close sister company with Sunlu. So I have used Sunlu in the past, and I actually really like their filament. It is really good out the box. So if it's anything like that, I'm going to be quite happy. That'll be interesting to
Nice.
go. So yeah,
Nice.
we've got
Oh,
some of that.
we have passed 300 subscribers on YouTube now. So that's good. That's good.
That's a
We've
win.
been
Yeah.
we've been growing at quite a steady rate. So to
That's
anybody
nice.
watching this, if you haven't done, like, subscribe, leave a comment about things you might want to see. We might get around to doing it. Please, if you find any of this rambling useful, then let some people know. Because the more people we have, the more stuff that we can get in and review, and it all helps things grow.
Also, you can put in the comments like anything you would like to see attempted printed in the future. Because
Mm.
if I've got free time, I will try and find a model of it and try and print it, and you can see the quality and what a print's like.
Well,
So yeah,
also we're bringing to you hardware and product news and reviews. But the other thing is, are there any questions that you have about 3D printing? Maybe you're just getting into 3D printing. Maybe you're trying to make a decision on 3D printers. Anything like that. If you've got any questions, chuck them in the comments, and we will see what we can do about getting you some sensible and objective answers.
whether they're
Because
good or bad, we will do
yeah,
that. One way or another, we will give you our opinion. And okay, it's not going to be everybody's opinion, but it will be honest from us, from our point.
we'll definitely do some digging and give you the results of our digging and some honest thoughts on the subjects. So
Definitely.
you
And
know,
I'll be more than happy to do so, because if it's not a machine or a product that I know of, that's the sort of thing I like doing. I like going rooting and talking with producers and making them listen and finding out all the details. So
yeah, for sure,
feel free. Feel
for
free.
sure.
Drop it in there.
And for me, every day's a school day. So
Every day.
always do the learning.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if there's anything you want any help with, honestly, seriously, either drop a message in here, or if it's something a bit more in depth, you're more than welcome to message me or on under
Yeah,
the hot end.
get over to Under the Hot End, because
Um,
that is a good place to get some answers.
we
Oh,
can get
sure.
for sure. I mean, and that we can take that further on there as well. If it's a specific subject that needs a lot of digging and a lot of you need a lot of assistance in, I can spend hours on there, not a problem.
He's got the people.
We got some.
He has people to get people. You
Oh,
know,
I have people that have got people that
that
sometimes
can
get more
get
people.
people for people.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
occasionally.
And it's got
Sometimes.
nothing to do with trafficking.
Yeah, nothing at
No,
all.
nothing.
No, no.
Wicked.
But yeah, that's
Well,
something. We got somebody
how?
else joined. Hello.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Ragtag, we were talking about your Ender 7 campaign.
Right at the beginning. We're going to chuck the links in the description. We'll get that video, chuck the link in the description. We had a lengthy chat about it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Um,
it went pretty well from what well, in my opinion, it went pretty well. And so far, I think you're growing quite well. So if you wouldn't mind chucking in some updates at some point, and we'll have a talk at some point this week to look at doing a collaboration between us all. I think might be a
Yeah.
good time of drawing you in, and we'll come in and we'll see if we can blow a machine up or something. I don't know. We'll come
Ooh,
on.
will it weld?
Will it weld? Yeah.
Will
Will
it
it arc?
weld?
So yeah, I think that might be a scenario to look over this week, for sure.
Nice. Wicked.
So
Well,
yeah,
where does that leave us?
well, it still leaves me in Devon. I don't know about everybody else. I'm still in Devon.
We're
Um,
still in one night in Devon.
one night in Devon. It's not heaven, but it is Devon.
There you go.
Right. So basically, my plan this week is I've going to have the Fucus on the go, and the Artillery Hornet's going to be back in play as of tomorrow evening. They're going to start on their next project. I've got something planned for those two.
Yep.
I do plan on doing something over the weekend on the pyramid, and I'm not sure yet whether it's going to be scenery orientated or random something. I'm not too sure.
Yep.
But it will be doing something.
Excellent.
I've got a feeling there's going to be a lot of gold this week printed, a lot of gold.
Nice.
So yeah, that's that. I've got a lot of talking that I'm doing already with a few people, so that's always going to be fun. That could lead us anywhere. God. You know, I do have to do a run to Plymouth, which is the next city to me tomorrow night, which I'm not looking forward to. But hey, get that out of the way. It could lead to bigger and better things all round, to be honest.
Yep.
And that could be helpful.
Nice.
And then basically taking any feedback and any chatting on Under the Hot End and Insta and the general around the community.
Yep. No, that's cool. Well, I'm gonna get the filament holder listed, sorted, put this all on YouTube, and we're gonna be getting back into the swing of things. Now that sort of holidays finished, Theo's finished moving, and things are gonna start getting back to some semblance of normality. So our output's gonna go up, and we're gonna get busy.
Is there?
And in the
Okay.
meantime, I suppose we will we'll be back next week on this.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
far as I
there's
know about next week.
nothing getting in the way of that.
I don't think so yet.
Dang it.
No, it's going to have to be for the next sort of. I know more tomorrow, if I'm 100%. But
Okay.
as
Well,
I'm aware
let
so
me know.
far,
We'll either continue with weekly, or we can switch to bi-weekly if we are getting to a point in the year where we're a bit busy at the moment, because
I mean,
Martin is very busy in real life, as
too busy.
opposed to just print world. So
No, as far as I know, I shouldn't think there will be an issue for next week. And as soon as I know any different, everybody on TV Land will know if we're going to change.
awesome
And
stuff.
we will
Cool.
we'll get it out there one way or another. So, yeah, we should be all good as normal.
Excellent. Well, in that
Great.
case, that leaves us with we will catch you next time on Digital Taxidermy Gets Under the Hot End with me, Neil, and Martin over there. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Take it
Bye bye,
easy.
folks. Take care.